All right, so Mike, I guess first question has to be first game in charge. What was that experience like for you in a game like this?
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's a lot harder than kind of I thought. Being the one that has to make the decisions in these types of times, especially as the game changed in terms of momentum, it's something that's very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, it's an experience that I've always wanted to try to go through. And now that I've done it, I think if I ever get the opportunity again, it'll be just that little bit easier.
Hardest thing about being a coach is making those adjustments on the fly. Second half, LA's pressing. What were you seeing from your standpoint? What were you thinking when you made your substitutions?
Yeah, unfortunately, we went completely away from the plan that we had at halftime. We had a very fantastic first 30 minutes. We moved away from it a little bit in the last 15 minutes of the first half. But in general, the second half, we veered away from our plan. And I think guys turned the game into a little bit more of a individual type scenario, and guys did a little bit too much of what they wanted to do. And that's sometimes understandable when you're up 3-0, but I think we escaped learning a good lesson, and it's an opportunity for us to not repeat that second half.
Coach, it was a chaotic match in the end, but the opening 30 minutes were some of the most beautiful football I think we've seen at the Whitecaps. What was it like for you? What led up to that kind of display that we saw in the opening half an hour from your team?
I guess it went to game plan. Those are the types of things that we wanted to create. We wanted to keep the width against them because we know they like to play really, really central. We had the opportunities with our wing backs. We were finding the split passes between their wide player and their midfield player, and really everything that we talked about over the last 24 hours building up to the game kind of came to fruition. So for us, it was like a display of exactly what we were looking for and what we were looking to do, and it doesn't always work out that way, right? You don't always score 3 goals in the first 25 minutes, but we were lucky enough that, I don't want to say lucky, but we were fortunate enough to get the results and bear the fruit of that.
And what was going through your mind when LA Galaxy's second goal went in and the stadium kind of went quiet and then the nerves started setting in? How did you maintain your composure to help the team see out the game and eventually get the win?
Yeah, I tried my best to try and keep the guys engaged as much as possible because, frustration can turn. I told them at halftime, we can't let confidence turn into arrogance, and I think that's what ended up happening. Is we turned our confidence into arrogance, and we thought that the game was just going to be won very easily, and we were going to go from 3-0 to 4-5, and we probably could have done that. We had opportunities, but it was just trying to keep the guys as calm and as focused as possible. But it proved more difficult than I thought.
It was interesting when you talk about getting away from the game plan and players kind of playing as individuals rather than as teammates. It's something similar Vanny said a few games ago during the 3-0 loss. I believe it was against SKC, if someone wants to correct me, where after about half an hour you said the same thing. Got away from the game plan, people started playing as individuals. Is that something that not necessarily is kind of creeping into the squad, but is that something you kind of want to nip in the bud, and how would you go about doing that?
We'll work on it this week. We'll talk about it. We'll have a serious discussion, both with individuals and with the group as a whole. It is something that happened against SKC. It was a different scenario. We went down 1-0 and we panicked, and everyone tried to do 150% of their job rather than doing the 100% that they need to do to pull pull the rope in the same direction and stick to our game plan. And what ended up happening was the same thing happened today, but it was the opposite. We went up 3-0 and everyone thought, oh, this is going to be easy. And of course, you got players on the other team that are very, very, very strong and very skillful. And if you give them anything outside of our game plan, it becomes very difficult.
With the league being put on pause for the League Cup, what is the biggest lesson heading into the tournament starting next week?
I think it's the same lesson that we've kind of been discussing right now, is making sure that we stick to our game plan. We're a team that, we're very tactically sound. We should be very tactically sound. We work on that a lot, and I think it's an opportunity for us to learn that if we move away from that, it's going to be difficult for us to win games, and it's not an easy league. Every single game, anybody can win, and I think it's one of those things that we just really need to make sure that from minute 1 to minute 95 or 98 or whatever they give, that we're sticking to the same game plan, and if that game plan changes, that the players go in and execute that.
Congrats on the win, first and foremost. And
Thank you.
So you guys first back-to-back wins in league play since April. I guess when you see a style like that, does that kind of, excite you, the fact that you guys are able to string a couple wins together? Or does that maybe frustrate you with the break coming, thinking, okay, maybe why, it's just the timing of it all?
I think a little bit of both. We've been through some tough periods. We've had a lot of games, and it's become heavy. So I think a refocus is going to be welcomed. Obviously gaining momentum, like 2 wins in a row, like you said, is something that we want to build off of. But at the end of the day, I think we can shift our focus now into the League's Cup and hopefully be ready for, when the league does start back up, and hopefully have these tough conversations that we had that we need to that we need to address. The things that happened in the second half, we don't want to see again, and we want to minimize as much as possible. So maybe this is a good time to kind of, like you said, nip this in the bud, and also, enjoy a little bit of a fresh environment with the League's Cup, and maybe take our mind off the league, knowing that we got 2 wins in a row. It puts us in a good position above the line of the playoffs.
Can you just talk a little bit about Brian White, Ryan Galt in the first half, their contributions?
Fantastic. Both sides of the ball. I mean, they link up very, very well together. One of the things that they do very, very well for us, and it's a huge piece of what we want to do, is that they're pressing together, and they're very, very good at doing that. And when they can put pressure on the ball, it makes it a lot easier for our number 8s and our number 6 and our wide players, everybody in behind them. And I think that when they play together as 2 number 9s, or whatever you want to call it, they're able to put pressure on the ball and stop the opposition, but they're also able to connect and combine, and they have a really good relationship working off of each other.
Congratulations on the big win today.
Thank you.
What kind of advice did Vanney give you, and could you hear him yelling from above the press box?
I couldn't hear him, by the way, because the stadium was decently loud tonight. But of course, we talk every day, almost all day, and everything that I tried to do exactly what I thought he would do, and nothing changed. The tactics were always the same. The way that we wanted to approach the game was the same. The way that we talked to the players was the same. So he gave me advice in terms of just stay calm and make sure that you stay focused on the big picture, because that's the real important part. And then of course listening to Florian and Brendan and everybody else that was helping me out on the bench. Being an assistant coach myself, I understand just how important that type of help is from my left or my right on the bench.
I asked Greg if there was any curveballs or any wrinkles they were maybe going to throw at you, but 3-0 they didn't really have the chance. Was there anything from LA that you were expecting, or maybe anything different you had to adapt to early on in the game?
In general, in the beginning of the game, we probably thought that Costa was going to play on the right-hand side, because generally he likes to cut inside on his left foot and have opportunities, and he started off a little bit wider on the left, so that kind of surprised us in general. But at the end of the day, I think the game was in our hands, and whenever we let it slip, it was probably our own fault.
Do you have an update on Pedro Vite?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Problem.
Good. Excellent. Pedro just has hamstring tightness.
That's it.